Stanford researchers say that they have found the clearest evidence yet that AI is reshaping the labor market, and they're finding that young workers are taking the biggest hit. So, using payroll data from ADP, Eric Brynjolfsson, a professor at Stanford University, Royu Chen, a research scientist, and Bahra Chandar, a postgraduate student, tracked employment patterns from late 2022, when ChatGPT launched, through mid 2025. In industries they had previously identified as most exposed to generative AI, things like customer service, software development, they found that jobs for workers aged 22 to 25 fell by 16%. The losses were not spread evenly. More experienced employees in the same field saw job opportunities hold steady or even grow. So, their takeaway here is that AI is starting to seemingly replace entry level repetitive work, while seasoned workers benefit from tools that speed up their jobs. Now, crucially, they also found, at least not yet, wages have not dropped as a response to this. So, Paul, we always look at research like this first by examining its methodology, then talking about the conclusions through that lens. So, maybe walk me through what you made of the way this research was done and what it might be able to tell.
Research is hard. So, I mean, they obviously used a proprietary data set here and they went deep. They took a lot of the payroll data. It's a logical way to try and find those trends. In their key findings, they talk a lot about trying to normalize the data and account for other things that could potentially cause these disruptions. So if you first find out that there is this decline, that these age 22 to 25 are seeing a disproportionate decline in employment, then you have to control for what they call like these shock events. Like, could COVID have anything to do with it? Could the back to work policies have anything to do with it? Like, they're trying to find, is there some other anomaly here that could actually be related to this that might make the 13% misleading if we lead with that headline. So they obviously did their homework and they looked at every possible scenario. And the tweet that Eric had was, too long, don't read. Employment has begun to decline for young workers in highly exposed occupations like coding and call centers, but older workers and workers who use AI to augment, not automate work have seen job gains. We also see more work for young workers in the least exposed occupations like home health aides. Again, like, it's a pretty quick report. Like, it goes through six key findings. It doesn't have a ton of. It's not like a 70-page report, if I remember correctly, Mike. This was like a
Right.
10-pager. You can read through it, but that really is it. Like, that is pretty much what it says, and then it just goes through the process of like how they tried to account for these variations. So I would say, like, a couple of things I took away from this. One is how hard it is to actually extract the current impact AI is having on jobs. Um, the current administration, David Sachs in particular, is very aggressively trying to um, take the side that AI is not going to impact jobs. Now, I think, like, we have to understand, like with anything, you have to understand the intention behind people's current belief about this. So Eric and his researchers are just trying to get to the truth. Eric's pretty optimistic overall. I mean, his past research, the things he tweets, he's pretty balanced in his approach for sure. But he also seems way more optimistic about AI not having this really, really disruptive impact in the near future. David Sachs, who's kind of like the AI czar for the Trump administration, um, and Silicon Valley guy, and what's the name of their podcast? All In Podcast. David Sachs. Um,
Right.
he is very much touting the line that all of this is hype, that AI isn't going to impact jobs. Now, you just can't believe that because he has to say whatever the administration wants him to say, and they cannot be saying that leading into the midterms next year, which we're going to talk about the midterms in Silicon Valley in a minute. They cannot admit if they actually think AI is going to be disruptive to jobs going into 2026. They can't, because it would be disruptive to their campaign. So what we have to do is just be like, I don't care about people's politics. I really don't. Like, we have to be honest with ourselves about the intentions of the people that are putting out statements about these things. And so the research like this is as neutral as we can get. They're literally just looking at payroll data, and they're just trying to find the trends, because one side saying, hey, we're going to see a big disruption, other side saying, nah, it's not going to happen, it's going to be great, we have a deficit of workers across all these different industries, which we do, and it's just going to be augmentative. And somewhere in the middle is going to end up being what actually happens, and none of us really know. All we can do is kind of look at what's going on, apply what we're hearing and seeing in different industries. And I will just say, like, even last week I had conversations with some people at some pretty significant companies, and they're like, it's happening. Like, we are absolutely starting to see an impact on jobs. We expect more in 2026, not being talked about publicly, but like it's coming. So I don't know. I mean, I think that this, again, we need more of this kind of research. We need more of like finding different patterns and different data sets and trying to figure out where are we, when is it happening, how can we protect against it. I've always just been of the belief that we need to be proactive and prepare for maybe it doesn't go smoothly. That's always been our position. Is like, seems like there's a probability the disruption is great, and I do think that the entry level work makes a ton of sense. I wouldn't take solace in this if I was middle management or a
Mm.
leader. Like, I still think middle management's going to get decimated. Like, I really do. Like, I think that the people who don't have this super advanced domain expertise that can work with the AI, who have all the experience, I think the people who have all the domain knowledge within their industry, within their company, and have the most benefit to gain from like working with these AIs at a high level, reasoning level, decision making, problem solving, I think a lot of the value is going to accumulate early on with the people who can work with the reasoning models, and
Yep.
those are going to be the better strategists, in my opinion. So I don't know. I mean, there was a couple. Wired magazine had a good kind of short article. We'll put the link in here. There was a couple interesting things in there because Bjornson did an interview, and he said the article said he has long suggested the government could change the tax system so that it does not reward companies that replace labor with automation. If that was happening, I would feel a whole lot better about this. Like, if there was actually government efforts to penalize companies for removing humans in favor of automation, or at least
Mm.
taxing those people and then using that to distribute back to citizens, I would like that direction. I'd like to hear more about that direction. And then the idea of these early warning systems, so we have a better concept of when it's starting to happen across different industries. So I don't know. I mean, a good report, nothing earth shattering here. It is kind of like a signal. Like, and that's what we're looking for right now, is like the signals within the noise that maybe tell us what's really happening and how quickly things are happening. And I thought this was a good one. It's also a good reminder. We built Jobs GPT to help with this kind of stuff, to project it at an individual level. So I devised last year this exposure key that looks at these 11 levels of exposure to like jobs and tasks based on the capabilities of models. So it looks at like image, video, audio, voice, reasoning, persuasion, digital action. So I built this 11 phase exposure key, and that's trained. Jobs GPT is trained on that. So you can go into Jobs GPT. We'll put the link in the show notes, but it's smarterx.ai, and just click on tools. It's right there. And you can put a job title in, and it'll actually do an assessment for you of how exposed that job is to disruption. So yeah, I don't know. Again, like, looking for the signals. We'll continue to highlight research when we think it's worth paying attention to, and this is one of them that I wouldn't assume this is like figuring it all out and that's it. That's the answer to the question. It's going to be early entry level workers and everybody else is safe. This is just the beginning of this.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough, if you are a parent who has a child who is entering the workforce, or you're a student, or heck, you're at any phase of your career, go use Jobs GPT if you have not already, because in just a few minutes, it is incredible the kind of insight you can get.